Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. I want to share a verse, Acts 9:36, and it talks about this woman. She was a really special woman. She was in Joppa. She was a disciple, a follower of Jesus. Her name was Tabitha. I always think that Bewitched got Tabitha from the Bible. Either you remember that or you don't, but Tabitha was, she was the daughter. And then you got Endora in there too, which is another Old Testament reference. So it was translated Dorcas. If I had the choice between Dorcas and Tabitha, I'd definitely go with Tabitha. And it says, who was always doing good and helping the poor. Well, I could say more about her. But I want to talk about that, always doing good and helping the poor. That's what the church is about. And one of the things I picked up from James Montgomery Boyce is just how big a difference the church has made in the world. And I see it, like in going to Haiti, there's so many Christian ministries down there, and going to Whitley City, Kentucky, in McCreary County, just so many Christian groups that are down there, and really not other groups, just Christian groups. But it's interesting to me that people will critique Christians and say, well, they seem to have an idea of what would be Christ-like and what we should do. When I used to play basketball, I had this guy who was always antagonistic towards me. His nickname was Junior. I don't know why he kind of had it out for me. And I remember this one time, the ball went out of bounds. It was clearly off the other team. I pick up the ball to inbound it, and he just looks at me, he goes, and you call yourself a Christian and a pastor? And I'm like, where, like I'm cheating? And then I found out that Junior's dad was a preacher. That really blew my mind. But anyway, what I picked up from James Montgomery Boyce is that the church has really made a difference by doing the things that Tabitha did, because she was full of good works and acts of charity or things for the poor. Before the coming of Jesus, there really were no hospitals in the world. You got sick? Well, it's up to you. But Jesus talked about, man, if you come and visit me when I'm sick, man, I don't think we realize that Jesus really changed the world. There was just family members to take care of them. Doctors, they might come to your house, but there was no hospitals. Nobody established these until the light of Christianity began to shine, and also the development of medicine. So much of that has happened in areas where the gospel has been. Orphanages, they really didn't exist. Man, in the old Greek and Roman families, in that culture, they would expose their own children to perish from the elements if they thought they had enough children. They'd just leave them out to die. And if something was really wrong with kids, they just let them die. It's crazy. There's no ministry to lepers. Dr. Paul Brand, in the last century, made huge strides ahead. And I think he's one of the greatest Christ followers in my lifetime. He's sort of like the Protestant Mother Teresa. But reaching out to those that are in dire need. Disaster relief organizations, the same thing. These were things that people were just like, well, the gods are against you, when something goes wrong. Instead of, this is an opportunity to show the love and the grace and the mercy of God to those that are in dire straits. That flows from the gospel. And you've even got the Apostle Paul, that when he goes to Gentiles to collect money from Greek communities to send to the poor in Jerusalem because they had a famine there. Christians felt a tie to one another, that they were connected with one another. But stuff like that wasn't happening. And Paul he challenged every barrier that's between people here on earth. So often he gets misquoted and taken out of context. But even great schools, there weren't many of them in the ancient world. Education was just something that, again, that's where Christianity comes in. Folks, we want to show kindness, we want to do small things, we want to do big things, but know that the influence of true religion, biblical Christianity, has rocked the world. Yeah, I said it the other day, I'll say it again. Jesus rocked the world, and may we be his agents of bringing that change here in the 21st century. God bless you. Have a great week.